Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the January 3rd, 2023 City Planning Commission meeting. This will be a fun year as we'll all experience new things like the airport, streetcar extension, and the Kansas City Spirit Playbook. We'll see the results of elections and policy initiatives that occurred last year and into this year. We'll get to see the NFL draft as well as a lot of good conventions this year. More importantly, we will see change in our landscape for new and renewed development, which is why we're all here. Commissioners look forward to hearing your case today, and we understand that every project is important and unique. In addition, we want to make sure we address all of the docketed items individually with the attention they need to build consensus between the applicant, public, and city staff. We also believe we can reach consensus by being brief yet heard. Because our meeting is hybrid, we have time limits for the cases that we hear, which is 5 minutes for staff presentations and 20 minutes for the applicant, plus any questions by the commissioners. When we move to public comment, I will call on those who are in the council chambers first, followed by those who are joining us virtually. We do have a timer to keep our meeting on track and expect public comments to be no longer than 2 minutes when speaking as an individual, or up to 5 minutes when representing a community association or larger group. In all instances, please limit repetitive comments. Something to note, if we believe our meeting will extend beyond 1 o'clock, which I hope it doesn't happen today, I will announce by 11 our intention whether we will take a lunch break or not. The break will be a minimum of 30 minutes and will occur after conclusion of a case within the 12 o'clock hour. If we do not anticipate lunch, we'll take a 15-minute break in there at some point this morning. So just be aware of that. So as we get started, I asked staff to provide some ground rules and instructions as we conduct this meeting to ensure that we have minimal disruption and maximum clarity. So Joe, can you remind us of those ground rules, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As mentioned, this is a hybrid meeting. Those of you attending on Zoom this morning are divided into one of two categories, either panelist or attendee. Right now, panelists consist only of the city staff and the planning commissioners that might be joining us online. If you are an applicant when the case is called, if you're on Zoom and you wish to present to the commission, please raise your hand and we'll promote you over to a panelist position. The same is true if you're a citizen who wishes to provide testimony during the public hearing. When you raise your hand, we will send you a request to accept the promotion. You must accept it in order to move over to a panelist position. And once you're there, you will be able to share your audio and video with the commissioners. And we ask that you remain muted until you're ready to speak or until you're called upon. As the chair mentioned, we will take testimony from those in attendance in the chamber first, and then we will move to those on Zoom. If you're also joining us on Zoom, please limit your use of the chat feature to questions related to where we're at on the agenda or technical issues, and please refrain from providing any testimony on the merits of a project in the chat. Mr. Chair, that concludes the advice I have. I will note that Commissioner Beasley just joined on Zoom.
Okay, perfect. All right, so a couple things on our agenda today. First, I want to do under other matters where we're going to look at. So August, we typically do not hear both meetings. We just do one in the month of August. I can't remember the dates of those. Let me get to my calendar here. It's either the 1st or the 15th. Does any of the commission, I guess it's written on the agenda, isn't it? I could look there.
Yeah.
Which is the preference of the commission to meet on those days, the 1st or the 15th?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a preference at this time.
Okay. Anybody else?
No preference.
I would imagine most would want the 15th because that would be closer to school and vacations.
Yeah, I think, let's see, either date works for me, so. Okay, so to hold the 1st and then skip the 15th, is that what I hear from everybody? That work for everybody?
Yep.
You need a motion on that, Joe, or just, that's what it's gonna be?
I don't know what we've done
Motion
in the
needed.
past.
So, okay, all right. So let's have the meeting on the 1st of August and not the 15th.
Okay.
Okay. We got that addressed. A second item on the agenda, I wanted to move docket item number 8 up to the top of our cases once we get to our regular cases. And that's the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, consent docket items, we have one that's going to be continued. If we can do that first,
Mhm.
followed by the second case, please.
All right, that's docket item C2, case number CPC 2022-00138. Request to approve a final plan and district MPD for the Kansas City Current Stadium. The applicant is requesting continuance to January 17th and staff recommends without fee.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners regarding continuance of docket item C2?
No.
Okay. At this time, we'll open it up for any public testimony. If anybody would like to speak regarding continuance of docket item C2, please either come forward or raise your hand and you'll be called upon.
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the chamber who wishes to speak and no one has raised their hand on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony then on that, and I'll take a motion, please.
Chair Crowley, move to continue docket item C2 without fee to January 17th.
Second.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second. Lisa, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Corral,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes to continue docket item C2 until the January 17th meeting. Okay, so this next one, I think C1, I need to recuse myself from this case. So go Keithy, it's all yours.
All right.
Docket item C1 is case number CPC 2022-00212. Request to approve a final plan and district MPD for residential development on 52 acres at 5800 North Brighton Avenue. Staff is recommending approval with conditions.
There any questions for staff on this docket item? The applicant here? Applicant like to give any comments?
The applicant has raised their hand and I'll promote her at this time.
Could you please, I don't know, I'll wait till she comes on.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the City Planning Commission meeting. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Allie Karolzak and my address is 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Independence, Ohio, 44131.
Thank you. Would you like to share any comments on this docket item?
I think you guys have seen plenty of the Redwood projects coming through so far, so I have nothing to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anything comes up.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners for the applicant? None. Joe, is anyone raising their hand for public testimony?
No one has raised their hand on Zoom.
Okay, I will close public testimony at this time. All right, commissioners, if you don't have any other questions, I'll take a motion.
No, I'd just like to say I'm happy to see a pollinated detention basin.
Yes.
So that was good to read. Thank you.
Chair Hill, I move to approve docket item C1 with conditions.
Second,
All right, it's been properly moved in second. Lisa, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Allender,
aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye.
All right, it unanimously passes. Thank you for your project and good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, let's move on to our regular agenda items, beginning with those cases that are looking to be continued to a future date.
All right, the first continuance is docket item 6, case number CPC 2022-00174. Request to approve a rezoning from District UR to District UR and approval of a preliminary development plan to allow for a mixed-use residential building containing approximately 300 units on about 1 acre at 400 Main Street. The applicant is requesting continuance of February 7th and staff recommends without fee. And then docket items 7.1 and 7.2. 7.1 is case number CPC 2022-00198. Request to approve a rezoning from District R80 and R-5 to District R-7.5 on 15 acres at the northwest corner of Northeast 88th and North Highland Avenue. And docket item 7.2 is case number CPC 2022-00197. Request to approve a preliminary plat to allow 3 lots on the same property at the same location. In both of these cases, the applicant's requesting continuance to February 7th and staff recommends without fee.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners regarding continuance of docket item 6 or 7? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony then. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding continuance of docket items 6 or 7, please raise your hand or come forward.
Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone in the chamber who wishes to speak, and there's no one who's raised their hand on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony then, and I'll take a motion, please.
Per Crowell, I move to continue docket items 6, 7.1, and 7.2 to February 7th without fee.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for continuance of docket items 6 and 7 to the date stated on the agenda. Lisa, can you take roll call, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders.
Aye.
Hill
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye.
All right, looks like the motion passes in to the February 7th meetings. Okay, so with that, let's move to docket item number 8, please.
Docket item number 8 is case number MISC 2022-00001. It's the Kansas City Spirit Playbook, and Morgan Pemberton from Long Range Planning Division is here to provide an update and take any questions you guys have.
Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Chair. Happy New Year to everyone. We are excited to let you know that every objective has a draft form out on our website right now. So the 21 objectives, the big ideas, and the community supported action items, the recommendations of the plan, are all out in draft form at playbook.kcmo.gov. They will remain open for public feedback for the next few weeks. And we are anticipating having an announcement out probably sometime this week of 3 public meetings that we will also be holding towards the later half of January and early half of February. There'll be 3 of those. We're planning on holding them in different parts of the city to try and spread that out. And we will also try and hold them in a very productive hybrid manner so that people can participate either online or they can attend the meeting in person, or they would be able to review the presentation at the meeting and then also participate on their own scheduled time when they can. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all may have at this time, but we're just very excited to have all of the draft objectives out there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work putting this together and getting it out there for everybody. Any questions from the commission on any of the sections for the comprehensive plan, KC Spirit Playbook?
I have a few. Sorry to make you repeat this because I know it was part of the first presentation. Can you give me a quick reminder on overall this comprehensive plan? Is it something where, like, what's the balance of aspirational versus things that I imagine this isn't something that we anticipate everything gets completed or, addressed within 20 years. And to give you some context, there were some amazing ideas. I'm only through the first 2 rounds. But it sounded like a lot of work, and sometimes there were call outs for finding a dedicated funding source. Other times it was implied that would be needed, but what's the right balance in terms of how everyone's supposed to think of the comprehensive plan in terms of aspiration versus what's achievable and realistic?
Mm-hmm. Well, everything that we're putting into the comprehensive plan, all the recommendations, all of the goals, we believe are realistic for Kansas City, as long as we are all moving forward towards the same end goal of where we want to be in 20 years. It is aspirational, but we believe it's an achievable aspirational Kansas City in the next 20 years. I would say that as far as identifying funding and things like that, specifics like that, we will have more information and more detail on that when we have our implementation matrix all put together and put out with the draft of the plan when we bring it all to all of you for a vote, likely in February or March. So I think it is a balance of retaining in our minds what the major issues that Kansas City is facing right now. That is what the plan is built around, on how to address those big issues. But it's also being aspirational in trying to be creative and be open-minded and think about the ideal city that we want to live in 20 years. So it's not going to be an exact, specific recommendation for, smaller level approaches. The comprehensive plan, because it is such a wide ranging plan, we have the big ideas, we have big goals in there, and we have general guidance on how to achieve those. The smaller policy points will probably come when we get into the implementation of the plan. So balancing those big ideas, those big achievements that we want to get to, and understanding that the smaller minutia, the policy decisions, funding, the responsible actors, all of those points will come later when we get into the implementation matrix phase of putting the draft plan together, but then also when we get into the implementation phase of actually achieving the recommendations of the plan.
And so will that implementation matrix have or include then projected number of additional roles or payroll and funding guidelines on what would be needed for some of the initiatives?
It will have the responsible actors who would have the most authority and power in implementing the recommendations. The funding would likely come in the form of, if a study needs to be done, the estimated cost of hiring a consultant or doing that study, maybe in-house, depending on what the situation may be. As far as payroll, that's probably not something that you're going to see in there. This is more overall project dollars when looking at the recommendations.
And then in past plans or in other cities' plans, because again, I mean, it's the plan as the two parts that I read through as it reads now certainly describes the city that I would like to live in. Have other plans in the past or other cities' plans, do they include expectations in terms of what funding would be needed or what resources or jobs would be needed to achieve it?
Resources and jobs, maybe not so much, but the overall estimation of how much it would cost to implement a recommendation kind of includes all of those items. It's not going to be a specific detailed itemized list of everything that would go into the project and how much it would cost. It's a general estimation of what we could expect to the entire recommendation and implementation to cost. The specifics, the itemized items that fall under those costs, those would come later when we get into the actual implementation of the policy.
Well, again, describes a city that I would like to live in for sure. I think it's extremely aspirational in a good way, in the way that I would want to see this really be used and leaned upon. I think that I'll always view something like this as stronger the more it's edited down.
Mhm.
And so for the sake of example, there are certain things that I think if you all feel like you can pull things out, I think you should, just because it'll make what's remaining stronger. So for example, CA3, I don't believe it's the job of city planning to expand the number and types of festivals or community events. I don't think that, I like the idea of developing guided and self-guided walking tours. But some of those types of things, I feel as though you all do so much, and it's putting even more on limited resources to ask even more. And some of these things feel like maybe they're on the wish list, but maybe not on the need to have comprehensive plan.
Mhm.
But anyway, it's great. And thanks for your work.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say, we do realize there is a lot of text in there. We have a consultant on board who's going to help us make sure that all of the language that we're using is all condensed as much as possible, that it's readable, that it's understandable, that it's all in the same voice when we get to end of this process. So we are continuing to do work on the amount of text that's there, but because it is such a wide ranging plan and what it covers, some of that might just be the nature of the beast.
Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions or any comments?
Yeah, I've got a question. Thanks for your work. Much appreciated. I know that it's taken a long time to get together and so forth, but I had the same question back from what I had on the initial comment. What's the demographics of the input onto the plan? Northland or the districts probably be a better way to do it. Just want to make sure that we're getting Northland input, we're getting 3rd, 5th district input, 6th district input. As I said, the meetings I'd sat in on, a lot of 4th district input, but I wanted to make sure that the city as a whole is signing off on this plan and it isn't actually just, concentration of certain districts that are having input and influence onto the plan. So if we wanted to see the demographics and if there is a shortfall with the community outreach that you're going out to on this round, how are you making sure that you're getting input across the whole city?
Well, that is something that we've kept under consideration through the entire process. The last few months, we have been out in the community doing another round.
excuse me.
Sorry, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, I sneezed. I'm sorry, let me mute me.
Bless you.
We've been doing another round of presentations to neighborhood groups. Everyone that let us come present to them, 3 years ago at the beginning of this process, we reached out to them. We wanted to present to them again and let them know that the draft plan is out there. We are continuing I think we actually just wrapped up having in-person attendance at events around the city. We've been trying to focus on events happening in those zip codes that we haven't been hearing from as much on the website. We do have a considerable amount of data regarding which zip codes are participating the most online versus which ones we haven't been hearing from as much. Of course, it's an imperfect estimate on the numbers of people participating across the city. And we do allow people to participate online anonymously without having to register with our website because we wanted to encourage participation as much as possible. And some people might not be comfortable registering, and we completely understand that. Our public engagement consultants are actually putting together summaries right now of all of the work that we've been doing for the last couple of years. We'll combine that with everything that we did in the first year of the project before they came on board. And we will be able to present to you very soon, probably even at the January 17th meeting, which I believe we have scheduled. We're on the agenda. We can present you some more detailed information of an overall summary of the engagement we've been doing, where that's been coming from the community, and where we might have some gaps that we should need to take a closer look at.
That'd be great. I really want to see those numbers. I think as we go forward to Commissioner Zender's view, as we want to look at funding and financing and so forth, we want to make sure that we have the whole city engaged with the vision of the plan. So be interested to see those numbers when you have them. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Beasley, have anything?
I was trying to get off mute. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I guess we look forward to your presentation then, the next meeting on the 17th. And just so everybody knows, just to recap, on the 17th, we'll go through consent agenda items and then have a presentation on the comprehensive plan, the rest of the meeting. So we'll take as long as we need, I guess. We'll still be in line with what our typical meetings are, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's move on then to docket item number 1, please.
All right, docket item number 1 is case number CPC 2022-00196. Request to approve a development plan in District B2-2 and R-6 to create a mixed residential development plan containing detached dwelling units, duplexes, fourplexes, and apartments on 25 acres at 2 Northwest Shoal Creek Parkway. Anna Manisky is the staff planner.
Okay, good morning. How about it?
Thank you. 1 second. Okay, thank you. As previously stated, we're going to be discussing 2 Northwest Shoal Creek Parkway. The site is zoned B2-2 and R6, and the applicant is seeking approval of a development plan for a mixed housing project. So the site is located in the very most northern portion of Kansas City, near Shoal Creek and Highway 169. This is a view from Google Street View of the site. You can see it is vacant, forested at the moment. This is a snapshot of the site plan provided by the applicant. You can see that there is a mixture of single-family homes, a couple of duplexes, the fourplex / townhome units, and then the apartment complexes. This is an example of what the single-family homes would look like. And the fourplexes and the duplex will be in the same style as each other. And then this is a rendering of the apartment buildings. The review criteria associated with a development plan is on the screen. I'm not going to go through all of these. I just want to highlight 3 of them in particular. So first being item number A is if this complies with the standards of the zoning and development code and other applicable ordinances, policies, plans. And I want to mention the Gashland Nashua, thank you, Nashua area plan, where it talks about providing housing choices in the Northland, specifically these detached dwelling units, housing for seniors, and higher density attached housing, which we can see in the fourplexes that the plan provides. Review criteria C, discuss vehicular ingress and egress. So we're talking about circulation on the site, parking, etc. We see that the project has extended North Wyandotte Street down to Shoal Creek Parkway. City staff, we think that this is important to create safe and efficient movement throughout the site. Also, the apartment building wraps their parking lot, so you don't get that frontage on Shoal Creek or North Wyandotte. The buildings themselves kind of block the view from a pedestrian point of view onto the parking. And according to our subdivision code, it is also a requirement that there are street connections as well. So it is very important that that North Wyandotte extension exists. Lastly, we have review criteria D, which talks about safe and efficient movement of non-motorized travel. So pedestrians, bikes, etc. Shoal Creek Parkway has some very nice large sidewalks, and we can see that the development project has connected lots of sidewalks and the apartment units to that Shoal Creek extension. So it'll be a very nice amenity for those living in the area. And there will also be short-term and long-term bicycle facilities on site. And we have requested that the details regarding those long-term bicycle facilities be revised to city staff prior to ordinance requests. So thus, city staff recommends approval subject to conditions for this development plan. And now I want to go through some edits to conditions. These are more just formatting and some error, a slight error to fix these conditions. Condition number 4, we need to add lots 1 through 12. So that would be the entirety of the detached dwelling unit lots. We also need to add at the end of that sentence, approval subject to final determination by the city council. Looking at condition number 23, this is from the Parks and Recreation Department. It talks about complying with the Parkway and Boulevard standards since Shoal Creek Parkway is a designated parkway. We just want to take that condition in considering to condition number 29, which talks about a potential variance that they're going to be seeking. And then the last condition on the staff report is item number 38, which talks about single family lots. This was supposed to be in reference to the multiple units on one lot, since due to the nature of the connections to sanitary sewer, those lots cannot be sold. Those have to be rental. So I went over that very quickly, but then here is a breakdown of exactly what that text would look like. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
What's the non-compliance for the Park and Boulevard standard again?
In regards to condition number 23.
Yeah.
So the Parks reviewer is saying that they must comply with all standards related to the Parkway and Boulevard standards. And we're adding except in condition number 29, where they're requesting a variance. So if that statement wasn't attached to condition 23, it would imply that they would have to comply with all standards when they're in essence going to be requesting a variance for one of those standards.
And the staff are okay with the variance?
You can request the variance, yes, but the Board of Zoning Adjustment makes that final determination.
Commissioner Allender, just for your information, this specifically applies to the single family homes we have backing up to Shoal Creek Parkway. Otherwise, we're in conformance.
That is correct.
So this is so this is in compliance with zoning. It's just a development plan, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the site is zoned appropriately for this density and the type of residential structures.
And the development plan is that the 20+ units?
Due to the size of the project,
Okay.
correct, that triggered this need.
Any other questions for city staff? Commissioner Beasley, do you have any?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll go ahead and welcome the applicant to the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Patricia Jensen with the Rouse Fretz Law Firm with offices located at 4510 Bellevue. Here today on behalf of PC Homes, and the principal of PC Homes is sitting next to me, Mr. Brian Mertz. We also have Matt Schlicht in the audience, who is our engineer and planner on this project, as well as Janelle Clayton, who's done some traffic analysis on this project. As Anna has highlighted, this project is located on vacant ground that is at the northeast corner of Shoal Creek Parkway and 169. And that's the site that's outlined in yellow on your screen. The blue area is already a platted street connection for North Wyandotte that's been in existence for years. You'll see that we've adjusted it a bit just to avoid going over the stream buffer area twice. So as has been asked, this asks for the approval of a development plan for the Orchards development. There is no rezoning request. The existing zoning is B2-2 and R6, and you'll see that we have planned this project around the existing zoning. And you can see here's the dimensions of the existing zoning. Most of it is zoned B2-2, which is a commercial classification. This is R6, and you'll see that our single family homes are located in the R6 area. This is the Gashland area plan with the land use designation, and the next slide will show you that our area is recommended for both mixed use community and residential medium density, along with some residential low density. And we comply with that land use plan recommendation, and the zoning complies with it. The facts before you is the Orchards is in conformance with the zoning. We're in conformance with the area plan. And we propose the construction of 25 single family homes, 2 duplexes, 22 fourplexes, 2 84 unit apartment buildings, 1 40 unit apartment building, and 2 42 unit apartment building. I'm going to say that that's a total of 409 units. If you looked at what the zoning district would allow, we are probably half of what would be permitted in terms of density. Again, and then we are retaining existing buffers on the northeast and west sides, and we'll show you that. These are photos of the property. This is looking south at the property. This is looking west on Shoal Creek Parkway. This is Shoal Creek parking looking east. Shoal Creek Parkway is fully improved. It's a 4-lane parkway, and it has median cuts along with it, which will provide access into our units. This looks southeast on North Main Street. North Main Street on the south side. It's North Main Street. On the north side, it turns into North Wyandotte. This looks south on North Main Street. And then this looks south on North Wyandotte at our connection that we will be providing with this development. This looks north along North Wyandotte at 110th Street at the Pine Lakes neighborhood. This is the site plan. This is a colored rendering of our site plan. So if you look on here, the blue is the single family homes. The kind of gold is the fourplexes. The rust are the 2 duplexes, and the pink are the apartment buildings. We had actually 2 neighborhood public engagement meetings. We had one on December 1st, 2022 via Zoom. We had several comments that they wanted an in-person meeting. So that was the reason we continued the case from, we were scheduled to be on the December 20th Planning Commission agenda. But we said, okay, we'll have the in-person public engagement meeting. And we held that on December 20th, 2022. I'm going to have Matt Kist, or Matt Schlicht, address a couple of issues dealing with the drainage. We heard from the neighbors concern about drainage and how it would flow into their lake, which it will not. And then we're going to have Janelle Clayton discuss a couple of traffic slides. We were not required to do a traffic study because 169 and Shoal Creek Parkway are fully improved. There are no traffic improvements to do. They are at the capacity to handle that traffic. So Matt.
So Matt Slish, Engineering Solutions, 50 Southeast 3rd Street, Lee Summit. So yeah, as we talked about, the neighbors had some concerns. They have a existing pond located on the kind of the south side of their development that will drain into that existing creek channel. Our site essentially sits at the lower regions of about a 400-acre watershed. There's an existing creek channel that goes through our site that's currently just kind of a natural state. And so we're going to cross that once, and we'll add storm sewer systems in order to convey that through there. Additionally, we'll be adding some BMP type facilities on the stream side areas to try to aid in some water quality, to aid in some stormwater controls as we go through that site. And then again, the neighbor's primary concern was their pond. So we'll their pond drains into our site. And so, but we will do some evaluation on their pond draining into our site to ensure that there's no detrimental effects or anything that goes on from their site onto ours.
So everything from your site will drain to the southwest?
It drains to the northwest up there to 169 up and then crosses across the highway to the west and then continues westerly.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I still have you. Maybe it might be better for traffic, but you say there's not going to be any improvements on Shoal Creek Parkway. If you're going eastbound Shoal Creek Parkway, will there be a northbound left turn lane?
We've started that discussion right now. I don't think that there's a need for it. I'll let Janelle go through that conversation. I said, Bradbury.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Janelle Clayton with Merge Midwest Engineering, located at 2668 West Catalpa Street in Olathe, Kansas. So the first slide that we're seeing here with traffic, this is a trip generation comparison. The first part of that table shows what our Orchards development as it's planned would generate for the AM and PM peak hour trips. The second section shows how many trips would be present if we were to develop it with the allowed density of 874 units of residential. And then if developed as commercial is the last section, how many trips that would generate if we were to develop that as commercial, just to show that our plan is a lower density than what is possible out there today. So we weren't required to do a full-on traffic study. So to address your question about the left turn lane, that would be part of a traffic study. We don't have counts or analysis to determine whether or not a left turn lane would be required. But we did look at MoDOT's ADT counts in the area for all the adjacent roadways to determine kind of where we thought traffic would be coming to and from in this area. And then using our trip generation estimates, we kind of applied those and determined that 60% of the trips that come out south on Wyandotte there at the connection, 60% would be likely to go to the west to get to the interchange, and then 40% would likely go to the east. And the concern we had heard at the first public engagement meeting was the cut through traffic. But as you can see, there'd really be no traffic generators to the north here for our development. It's more likely that the existing Beacon Hill development and Pine Lake developments would probably come south on Wyandotte to access Shoal Creek at a more direct route. So I also ran some numbers on that table at the bottom that I estimated 50% of those existing Pine Lake and Beacon Hill developments, 50% of those houses, what those numbers would look like that would also come through south on Wyandotte Street.
Okay, so you, just to confirm, you're not at this time, you don't know if you need that left turn lane, but that's something you're evaluating as part of the design?
No, that would be something that we could look at as part of a traffic study if we wanted to do a traffic study.
Okay.
There's already a median cut with room for people to wait.
Yeah, I see the median cut, but same time, left turn lane, I think of Berry Road at Line Creek Parkway. Going eastbound, there is no left turn lane to go north on Line Creek Parkway, and it just causes a lot of issues. Cars get stuck there and coming over hill, and there it is. I just see it being a kind of a safety thing. That's something that's needs to be looked at.
And Commissioner Crowell, I know what you mean on Berry Road. The site is different because it doesn't have the hill that exists on Berry Road.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of the issues that you heard Anna explain is that the neighbors have raised an issue about connectivity. And they didn't want North Wyandotte to continue north and connect to the existing streets in Pine Lake. My impression is a lot of the Pine Lake neighbors view those streets as their private streets, not public streets. And they're concerned about traffic coming up and down through Pine Lake. We know that connectivity is an important concept to the city. North Wyandotte has been platted that way for many years. And section 88405-10 requires connectivity for the public health, safety, and welfare. It helps fire trucks and emergency vehicles get in and out if there are blocks in other city streets. So, and it is also an important element in the Gashland Nashua area plan. And then again, these are the elevations. Anna has already showed these to you. We are in agreement with all of the conditions that are contained in the staff report as they've been revised by Anna. We appreciate the work that we've done with the staff regarding this development. This will provide another development in the Northland that will contain housing choices. So with that, we would ask you to approve the development plan.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the commission?
Yes, my standard question, phasing and time for construction.
I'm going to let Brian Mertz address that.
Good morning, staff and commissioners. From a time standpoint, we would be fortunate to probably start the actual road development in 2023. More than likely, that would be a 2024 conclusion and then construction in 2024. At this time in this market, you're probably going to start on the townhouse and single family and then look at the apartments. after that. Overall, this is, if we can get the roads and infrastructure in by 2024, you're looking at probably a 3 to 4 year build.
Do you happen to have an elevation of the back of the single family homes that will back up onto Shoal Creek?
You know, I don't have one of those on the file, but they do all have covered patios on them. They probably don't have as much of that architectural look on the front, but they have gabled, covered patios on them.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't highlight.
So can I have a follow-up then on, you're saying the apartments are the last that will be built. Is there an element of affordable housing in those apartments?
Right now, this is all market rate housing.
And it'll be a mix of 2 and 3 bedrooms or 1 and 2 bedrooms?
So the houses are all 3 bedroom. The townhomes are 3 bedroom. The apartments are 1 and 2 bedroom.
Okay, thank you.
And I brought the slide back up showing the site plan just to show you that we were intentional about keeping a buffer us and Pine Lake, so you can see that.
Yeah, if I could just interject on our site plan, I think Matt did a great job. We preserved the existing creek corridor. We don't encroach into it. I think that was an important part of keeping the natural buffer from the single family to the east and to the north, and keeping an undisturbed creek bed through there in the treed areas, even along 169.
Can you remind me again of what's for sale and what's for rent?
Sure. Single family is the for sale product. And then your townhomes and apartments are rental.
Even the 2 duplexes are rental?
Yes.
Any other questions from commissioners? Borstein?
No, I had asked about phasing because I know we're pushing to increase our housing period, so I am disappointed that there's no affordable housing included in the apartments, but I do understand.
Okay. But this time, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 1, please come forward or raise your hand using your Zoom feature, and you'll be called upon. We'll start with those that are in the chambers first, followed by those joining us virtually. Good morning. Yeah, please state your name and address for the record.
Shanna Gratzer, 11024 North Wyandotte Street. So we a little background on this. We came home from Thanksgiving vacation and had a note on our door about this development and basically tearing through the street right in front of our house, the quiet. And no, we don't believe it's our private street, but it is, we understand it's a public city street. I don't think it's mine. I don't think I own it, but it is a quiet, safe, secure street for young children. There are a lot of young children that live on North Wyandotte Street that this is going to cut through. This has, maybe it was developed for a through street at some point, but it's been 30 years that this has been closed off. The trees and the woods and the security that are at the end of our Wyandotte Street has always been a beautiful and treasured area on our street. We have numerous bus stops. Children, there's probably at 110th and Wyandotte, there's probably 15 to 20 school-age children that stand at that corner to get on the bus. We are highly concerned. I speak for the neighbors that live on North Wyandotte, the neighbors that are on Baltimore, the neighbors on 110th. And we're highly concerned for this development, making our street a thoroughfare to Shoal Creek. Or they say that they're not concerned about the traffic going up from this apartment complex. And please, everybody, keep in mind, this is a massive development on 25 acres. That's it, 25 acres. All these apartment complexes, very few single-family homes. I would be all for this development building into our neighborhood with single-family homes that people can purchase and have power in ownership. The apartments and the rental duplexes, no. There are currently 2 other massive apartment developments being developed on North Oak. One's at about probably 80th and North Oak. I think there was a library there, and now they're putting a library in an apartment complex. And then there's another one about, I don't know what that is, maybe 96th or 98th. A massive, massive apartment complex that just went in there behind our Quick Trip. And there are people in our community that are searching for homes. They want home ownership. There is power in home ownership. There is a stronger economy in home ownership. And this development is putting in how many single family homes? I don't remember what it said, but it's a very small amount. And they're putting this giant apartment complex on 25 acres and then making our street a thoroughfare. I know I'm getting distracted. Okay, off subject. So the North Wyandotte Street goes up from this apartment complex. This is coming in front of our street. And I know it's a public city street, but it's private to our street and our community. And we are we're a nice, quiet, private neighborhood that has an HOA for all the people that live in our development. We have a lake. We have, we're called Pine Lake, but it's like a lake. And so you can fish in that lake, and that's open to the people in our neighborhood that have an HOA, that pay the HOA. And this is going to open that up so people from this development can come right over and use our lake and use our park. And because they're opening up Wyandotte. And also they were saying that most likely people will be coming down from Beacon Hill down that street. There is no traffic control from Shoal Creek, where they want to open it up from Shoal Creek all the way up. It comes out onto, I'm not sure what that is, like a little arm of North Oak, and then hits at Cookingham. People go up from our neighborhood, shooting out onto that little North Oak arm to get onto Cookingham, to go over to 435 to get to Liberty. That is the main route through our neighborhood. If they open it all the way to Shoal Creek, we're going to have people cutting off through Shoal Creek, going all the way up and trying to get a faster route up to Cookingham, opening up our street for heavy, heavy, heavy traffic. Like I said, on a street that's full of very young children. I believe it opens it up to security issues, or safety issues as far as traffic, but also the Northland on Nextdoor and on Facebook and all these groups that we're involved in, we speak to, there is a lot of crime with package theft around the holidays here. And if we open our street up to where people can escape faster and steal things out of trucks in the driveway, our neighborhood is heavy on people parking in the driveway because the driveways are small.
Thank you.
The garages
Sorry.
are small.
We're trying to keep our time limit at 2 minutes. Thank you. We'll let you go over.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, okay. Well, but I got to finish my note on traffic control.
We've given you more than 2 minutes. We want to see if there's someone else. If there's no one else to speak, then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Joe?
There's someone in the chamber.
Okay.
And I'll forgot the timer last time. I'm sorry.
I was tracking.
Good morning, council. My name is Andrea Reese, REES. I live at 11027 North Wyandotte. I have lived at that address for over 26 years. I raised both of my children in that development. At this time, at the time that we moved there, our children were born in, at that home. We spent the first 10 years of their lives sitting in the front driveway, screaming at delivery trucks to slow down on North Wyandotte. As Shannon mentioned, there is no traffic control on Wyandotte itself from 110th all the way up to 112th Terrace. You turn off of 112th Terrace onto North Nashua Street, onto North Main, and go right out onto Cookingham up to either 169 or off to 435. As Shannon mentioned, there is more than right now 20 children who get on the bus at 110th and Wyandotte. There are 45 children that get on the bus ranging in age from kindergarten all the way up to high school at 110th and North Wyandotte, which is right where this opening will happen. If there is no traffic control on that street, and they have stated they don't need to do a traffic study, the amount of traffic that will be moving up and down Wyandotte could endanger at the least 65 small children, let alone any other children in the neighborhood that may move in at this time. I would hope that the council here would closely look. It was stated that it was for the well-being and improvement of the neighborhood. For 30 years, we've had to take care of that pond.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Is anybody online, Joe?
There is one person online who's raised their hand, and I'll promote him to panelist, Jacob McPhee.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Jacob McPhee. I live at 5002 Northwest 66 Terrace in Kansas City, Missouri. I am here speaking as a representative of the ownership group at 201 Northwest 108th Street, just south of the proposed development site. Here to say that we're big fans of this development. We think that the design is very attractive and it brings some much needed diversity to the housing stock of the area. Once again, I just want to state that we think that it's a really good looking development and we are in favor of it and think that it would be overall good for the economic conditions of the area.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone else in the chamber, and no one else has raised their hand on Zoom.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go ahead and close public testimony. Sounds like there's a few concerns about the connectivity, need for single family, security, and the use of the lake. I don't know if we can address those.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, Brian and I will both address those. So, again, it's not a site for just single family. It's a site that was zoned for a larger commercial development. And our proposal is half of what is permitted under that density of B2 too. I don't describe this as a massive development on 25 acres. You all are used to seeing a number of projects, and I believe based on your experience, you'll understand that it is not a massive development. We believe we've designed a development that is conducive to the area and the surrounding area and addresses the needs in the community. our people will not go up there and use their lake. We've got our own amenities. In fact, during the last neighborhood meeting, one of the neighbors came down or asked Brian if they would be permitted to use our pool because their neighborhood does not have a pool. We of course said that the pool was for our existing residents and their guests. I don't know how to combat security concerns and issues about people stealing packages off of porches. That's something we have to deal with in our society today. Every neighborhood is vulnerable to that. And it's not just because Wyandotte cuts through that occurs. Wyandotte has been platted that way for years and years and years, and the city promotes connectivity. So Brian, is there anything else you would like to add?
And one of the things that came up in our neighborhood meetings was residents from our community going and using that Pine Lake water feature. And I thought we had a good discussion in our December 20th meeting about, we are not clearing the trees that buffer area. We did agree to do some kind of fencing on our side of the property and some signage to disencourage people. I mean, if you look at that, you still have to go through somebody's side yard of a single family resident. So it's not like we're encouraging traffic back there. But we could put fencing and signage on the back of those single family residents when we build them. So there is no cross through the woods from our single family to their lake area. I thought we had some constructive meetings. Traffic was a big one, and the connectivity to Wyandotte. But I thought we were able to agree to some other items that they brought up. So.
Okay, thank you.
And again, Mr. Chair, we're in agreement with all of the conditions as revised by Anna.
And I guess just real quick, the signage and fencing, that's not something that's in the project now, but something you're willing to put in?
That's correct. We didn't have that in our original. That was something that came out of our meeting on December 20th.
Okay.
So if you want to add a condition that states our plans be revised to show fencing and signage at that north
east
corner, we're fine with that.
Okay. Any questions before we close testimony?
I
Okay.
have one clarifying question, if I might. They're
Sure.
talking about the wooded area. So that is property owned by an individual? Or is that property that's owned by the other development group?
If I may, Commissioner, the wooded area is owned by me. That's just an area that we don't plan on disturbing and trying to retain that buffer between the current residents and our development.
Commissioner Beasley will pull up that site plan if you can see that on your screen. You can see the green area at the northern property.
Yes, I see that.
That is property we own. It currently has trees on it. And we are not disturbing that area. We're leaving that buffer all around the east, north, and west sides in place.
So my thought process was, would you be eliminating someone's ability to explore that area, I guess, for lack of a different term? So if you were to put fencing, you would put it on the fencing on the property line, which would then put the wooded area on the side of your development, not the side of the other folks.
I think our intention was to keep it off the property line so we don't disturb that tree and that kind of corridor that's already existing, but put it so you would have almost an HOA owned area, or it could run with the single family that are ours, but to keep that fence to the south of the tree line.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not even disturbing that buffer area.
I don't think I'm comfortable with that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else, commissioners? So this time, we're going to go ahead and close testimony and speak amongst the commission to provide their thoughts and before we make a vote.
One thing I'll note to the neighbors who had made public testimony, completely empathize in that you described a street that I would like to live on as well. I totally understand wanting to be on a quiet street with woods behind you. One of the things that I often look at is, the opportunity cost of what could happen. And the applicant is totally right that with the B2 zoning, it could be a much, much higher use. And so I do think that it's thoughtfully planned out the way it has been planned out. In terms of traffic, what I would recommend, I live next to a section of Main Street that has multiple big speed bumps because people race down it all the time. It's not ideal at all. There are tons of kids in my neighborhood as well. It's just something to consider. But the point being, a lot of times I think we hear things that come up, which are very legitimate concerns, which maybe aren't necessarily going to be addressed by the development. So I hear your concerns and sorry that you're not supportive of this. And I understand why. I will be supportive of the project though.
I'll be supportive as well. I think this is one of the better developments we've seen north of the river recently with the diversity of housing, kind of the way it's structured with the alignment along 169 and North Shoal Creek with the apartments. And I get the desire for single family homes, but we all know single family homes are too expensive for me to buy currently that are brand new. And so I appreciate the kind of diversity of housing that you can kind of move even in theory from apartments to the fourplexes to the single family home. I think that's something that's missing in a lot of our even urban core planning. So, and I think Ms. Jensen knows we've gone back and forth about connectivity a lot on this commission. And I think that it's key for a lot of different reasons, and it's just good planning overall. So I'll be supportive.
Same with me. The development, I understand there could be twice as much commercial property there, or even apartments or retail could be in this site, because it's currently zoned that way. This is a land use body, so that's what we're looking at from our standpoint, is the land use on this site. Does it fit the criteria of what's currently zoned there, as well as the standards that are placed before us? It does. I think they've shown that and provided that. Connectivity is something that's needed and warranted. I believe in this area. I am concerned about the left turn on eastbound Shoal Creek Parkway. I still kind of think there should be a left turn lane there. That's me. But I sympathize with the neighborhoods and their concerns that they have. But this has been platted for a long time. It does fit the land use criteria we have before us. And so I'd be supportive of the project. Commissioner Beasley, any comments?
I'm supportive of the project. I don't like the idea of putting a fence in.
You do not?
No.
Any other thoughts from other commissioners on that?
I'm fine leaving it out.
Okay. All right. Somebody want to make a motion, please?
Chair Crowell, I move to approve docket item 1 with conditions.
Does that include the changes to the conditions as presented to us previously?
Absolutely.
And what about the addition of 39, a signage and fencing along the?
Yes.
You think you want to add that? You want to make that?
Add the fencing.
Okay.
I think the signage was a good idea. I think the fencing was something that they were welcome to do, but it was not a requirement. So I think they continue to work with the neighborhood to figure that out. So I don't want to add that as.
Okay. So I've got a motion.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 1 with the changes to the conditions as stated earlier in testimony and as presented there. Lisa, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell, Commissioner Crowell?
Yeah, aye.
Okay, I couldn't hear you.
Yep.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye.
Okay, so it looks like the motion passes 7-0. For approval, at this time, there's still, the next step would be to go through council. So I would suggest calling your council member and talking to them for anything or concerns you have on this. So with that,
Can I ask a clarifying question? Did that include an additional condition for signage?
Yes.
Yes,
you
and,
did want to add the signage, but not,
Signage, but not the fencing.
okay, and
I
is
thought,
there
yeah.
a timeline associated with that?
You all want to help? What'll be a good timeline associated?
I
with
think
that?
the signage is just something when we
Yeah.
construct the single family homes.
So-
Because
Yeah.
that's where we're constructing right next to your neighborhood. To the neighborhood.
we need to amend everything and redo it.
I mean, if you want to add that, if you want to add something to what you've already voted on.
Okay,
If you don't believe it's necessary.
But just so that I can track. You already added the condition for signage, not fencing, but if we modify, we're adding a timeline. Is that what you're asking me to
Sounds
do?
like staff was asking.
Is that required to have a timeline for the signage? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I wanted to make the condition more specific, so
Okay, what's your recommendation?
well, if you're agreeing with Patricia Jensen's recommendation of certificate of occupancy, then that's how I'll write the condition, but it's up to the commission.
Okay. So do I need to restate from the very beginning? Or can I just amend now?
Make a motion to add.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to add a condition to docket item 1 to have the signage complete by the certificate of occupancy
For the single family.
for the single family homes. Thank you.
Second.
okay, so I've got a motion and a second to add the condition 39 for signage to be installed at time of certificate of occupancy for the single family homes. Lisa, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Mhm. Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye. Okay, it looks like the motion passes.
Thank you
and
all.
Good luck as you move forward. All right, with that, let's move to docket item number 2, please.
Case number CPC 2022-00194. Request to approve a development plan, which also serves as a preliminary plat in District M1-5 to allow for construction of a 500,000 square foot office and warehouse development on one lot on 53 acres at the southwest corner of Missouri Highway 150 and Thunderbird Road. Matthew Barnes will be presenting this case.
Good morning, commissioners. Let me share my screen. Okay, as stated, we have docket item number 2, which is a development plan for Project Royal located at 14820 Thunderbird Road. It is located in the southern portion of Kansas City, near as far south as you can go, just south of Highway 150. Here is a closer view of the subject site. There you can see Highway 150 and the former Air Force Base, I believe, down to the south of it. The applicant is seeking a development plan for a 500,000 square foot building, which will be a food processing and distribution center. It's located within the existing Centerpoint intermodal development. This development plan also serves as a preliminary plat. Applicant is proposing materials such as metal panels for the warehouse and brick and architectural panel panels for the office area.
Here is just the site plan of the proposed food distribution center. And here is some elevations. What you see in the foreground is the proposed office area, and in the background, you can see the slightly taller warehouse area. Here's a landscape plan of the proposed site. Highway 150 is to the top of the screen there. They're proposing heavy landscaping along that area. And just for reference, here is a few sections from 150. You can see the cars on the left side of the screen. The applicant is showing that the view angles from that will almost all be screened from sight with the hill and additional landscaping. With that, staff is recommending approval with conditions for docket item number 2, case number CD CPC 2022-00194. I'll take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission regarding docket item number 2?
What's the parking count compared to the code?
Parking count, I don't know if I have that off the top of my head. I think it was in the staff report, but I'm trying to pull it up. But I guess my question is, as we kind of see these like every week, right? It's
705.
705. Like, are there 705 employees there at one time, right? And I don't know. It's just something that I think maybe we can ask the applicant, but I just always look at too, like CVS and Walgreens. Are there 50 people at CVS and Walgreens at any point in time? And so I don't know. Think about that.
On the plan, there's 705 parking spaces and 141 trailer spaces anticipated.
I'm guessing it's a code requirement.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that the code bases a lot on square footage, right? But the use of that square footage might be completely different now. So
Well, and to answer your question about the code requirement is 1 per 4 employees, 1 parking space per 4. So I would recommend asking the applicant if they know the number of employees or what the actual parking demand will be.
Any other questions for city staff?
No sidewalks along Thunderbird Road?
They are not proposing any sidewalks along Thunderbird Road. There is no existing sidewalks in the area either.
Private street,
and it is a private street as well. So.
Okay. Commissioner Beasley, any questions?
No, I'm fine right now. Thank you.
All right. So at this time, let's go ahead and welcome the applicant. Is the applicant available?
Yes, they have raised their hand online.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. I've promoted Will Dubois and Mark Stenner.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
My name is Will Dubois. I'm with Davidson Architecture and Engineering at 4301 Indian Creek Parkway in Overland Park. I'd like to thank the Planning Commission for taking the time to hear this today. Matthew Barnes, I think, hit all the highlights. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and talk about a few things and answer a few questions as well. So this is the I-49 Industrial Center.
We're not seeing your screen yet.
Sorry, didn't realize it wasn't up.
There we go.
This is the I-49 Industrial Center. We've had a lot of progress lately, as you can see on the screen. Building 6, you might recall from Planning Commission, that was recently completed. It has been leased up. We are currently constructing Building 7. If you drive by on the highway, you can see the walls are up. They're working on the roof right now. The trailer parking, the east side has been completed and the west side is under construction. which brings us to the next building in this center, which is Building 9 or Project Royal here. There's been some questions or conversation about parking. We've been working with the developer and potential tenants on the parking. We actually had the issue at 6 where the north side tenant was starting to come up against not having enough parking, and we actually had to go back and add more parking on the south of Building 6. So I know the parking in some of these cases, you think this is a huge building, you won't really have that many employees though, but we've actually seen where we've need to go back and add parking. So that's been something that's been worked on with the client to make sure that we have an appropriate parking count and kind of balance that with the needs of the site. With that said, I think if there's any other questions, whether it's parking or about the building, we have the developer Platform Ventures on the call, as well as other members of the team, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission to the applicant?
Yeah, I've got a question. What type of detention ponds have you got for stormwater management?
I don't know if you heard you or not.
Oh,
mind up speaking.
yeah.
To your microphone.
Can you just give us an overview? What type of detention ponds have you got in mind for stormwater management?
If there's any questions, we are happy to answer.
Yeah. Did you hear the question by chance?
I'm sorry, there's some audio issue on my end where I'm not hearing anything from anyone. I'm sorry.
Let's try it again. Third time's a charm, right?
Could you just give us an overview of what type of detention ponds have you got on the site?
I can. This is Chris Hafner with Davidson Architecture and Engineering, again, 4301 Indian Creek Parkway, Overland Park, Kansas, 66207. Good morning. Just to answer that question, there is a regional detention basin that is directly east of this current site that was built as part of, before our clients, Platform Ventures had taken over this park that was set up to handle not only this site, but the Sioux Chief site that was there, the Niagara site, all of those areas. I can share my screen, just give you a quick view here of the area. Let me know when you have that screen up and I'll continue with that presentation.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so again, Project Royal is sitting here. You can see in this plan, it doesn't even have Sioux Chief on this site, but really this area that I'm highlighting that is directly east of Thunderbird Road is set up as a very large regional detention basin that handles all of this area. The impervious calculations and things like that from the CenterPoint development have been used as we have developed throughout the site. And that is what's set up for that. There are a series of, I'll undo the 3D. There is a series of kind of BMPs that Sioux Chief had set up when they kind of owned this entire tract, which Platform Ventures obviously purchased that north portion of it, that eventually feed over to that basin. But those numbers are all part of earlier calculations and been approved with each development as we've moved forward here on this site. Does that answer your question?
So there's no new detention ponds at all?
No.
Okay, I was reading when I looked at the site plan yesterday that I thought there was a new detention basin. Understand if you've got an existing one.
I think what's happening really is there's some BMPs that were set up on the site as they kind of, that water from Sioux Chief traversed the site as they assumed they would be developing to the north. We will be modifying some of that in the area. We've got a lot more green space now to work with up in this corner where those BMPs will basically be kind of relocated and replaced and enhanced, but not necessarily detention, just water quality.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Commissioner Beasley? Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So at this
Thank you
time,
for the
go ahead and
consideration.
open it up. I'm sorry?
Sorry, it's just saying thank you for your consideration of the project. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, let's go ahead and open it up for any public testimony. If there's anybody that would like to speak regarding docket item number 2, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the chamber who wishes to speak and no one on Zoom has raised their hand.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll go ahead and close the public testimony. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Hafner, on this project?
No, I appreciate it. We're excited to get started, finish out this section of the park.
Are you able to say what this project is yet, or is it still called Royal?
It is still called Royal. I mean, in general, it's a single building, 2-tenant kind of function where, one side will be manufacturing or kind of assembly of food product, and then storage within the freezer cooler section of the building that would then head out to, the various stores or distribution centers that it serves. But it's a great project, great build to suit, and we're excited as they move forward with their process from an incentive standpoint and things like that. I think once that all happens, we'll be able to be a little more clear and upfront with who the users are on the project.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think we clarified a question about parking.
No, I think we did. I think my main concern is I know everyone's thoughtful with their projects, but I just want to make sure. I want to make sure that we're thoughtful about the parking, and at least from my point of view, I'm open to reducing or making a variance if it's not needed. So I think that I just want to put that posture out there for people doing massive projects that if you don't need 700 parking spots, come tell us you don't need 700 parking spots. And
I think to clarify, I think what you're seeing on those plans is kind of the ultimate build out of this project. That's what we wanted to make sure the development plan kind of encapsulated, obviously, everything as it would develop out. We will be very cognizant of coming forward with maybe more of a phased approach to that parking that meets current day one needs of the employment count of both tenants within the building, but just having that ability to show you as a city plan commission what the ultimate development would look like as this thing is built out and fully operational to what we've kind of heard from both tenants within this building.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
at this time, we'll close testimony then, and if there's anything to discuss amongst the commission, let's do it. If not, I'll take a motion, please.
I just want to say I'm glad that we're actually building something and then shipping it out in one of these. We often see where we just start shipping things, so it's nice to, I think, hopefully add a little bit more jobs than the normal distribution sites. But I'll make a motion. I move to approve docket item 2 with conditions.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item 2 with conditions stated. Lisa, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Prowl,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye.
Okay, looks like the motion passes in 7-0. Thank you for bringing it in and good luck as you move forward.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. All right, with that, let's move on to docket item number 3, please.
Docket item number 3 is case number CPC 2022-00192. A request to approve a major amendment to a previously approved development plan to add new fencing and the construction of new parking areas on about 21 acres at Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard and East 46th Street. Andrew Clark is the staff planner.
Good morning and happy new year. I will pull up my presentation here shortly.
By the way, the TV looks a lot better over here. She must have found that loose.
You're
cable.
welcome.
Thank you.
We figured it out. Okay. All right, as Joe mentioned, this is docket number 3, CPC 2022-192, and it's a major amendment to an existing residential development plan. The site is located in Midtown, Kansas City. As you can see here, it's on the northeast corner of the Paseo and Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard. Many of you are probably familiar with this large apartment development. Here's a view if you were to pull off from the Paseo and enter in on 46th Street. And then here's an internal view of the site, and something important in the staff report and working with the applicant was identifying where we were missing street trees. This development, has been around for quite a few decades, and we've lost a lot of shade. But that was a very important factor of working with the applicant to reestablish the street trees. What triggered this major amendment is the applicant's been making improvements to this site for the last few years. What they are proposing now is to complete the fencing around the site. There were a lot of incomplete parts. They're also highlighted on the screen. They added an additional parking lot and additional driveway to enhance circulation within this development. As more people, their occupancy is higher than it has been for a long time. So they do need the parking from what was built there decades ago. Staff and the applicant worked very hard to have a landscape plan that does comply with our current code. This is a major amendment. So now, even though this was built a long time ago, now they have to comply with what our code says today. The landscape plan, when reviewing it, there were a few species that were invasive. So staff asked the applicant to revise their plans. They did. I received an email yesterday, and I am asking that condition number 5 is removed because the invasive species have been removed from the landscape plan. As I mentioned, this project is really just a parking area and completing the fencing of an existing residential development. Staff recommends approval with conditions with the removal of condition number 5. And that concludes my presentation.
Can you go back to your site plan?
Yes.
Just where's the parking going to be added, or is it just going to be redone?
Should see in the lower left-hand corner.
Okay.
It's highlighted.
Oh, just that little piece is all. That's it?
That is it. But
Okay.
Our code says whenever you add 2,000 square feet of impervious surface, it triggers a major amendment, which can cause a headache for staff sometimes. But it also, because of this, we're getting over 107 street trees that we're missing. So that's why it's important for us to analyze these established plans.
And it's small enough, it doesn't require any storm detention?
No,
Okay.
It does not.
All right. That's all the questions I had. Anybody else have any questions? Seth?
I'd like to piggyback on your parking question, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
So to the left of the highlighted red and embroidered place, that's a commercial building there.
Yes, the gates, buildings.
So this parking will cover just the units that are south of the street that goes through the middle of the development?
That's correct. As you can tell, it's a little hard to see. Most of the parking on this site is on the northern perimeter of 46th Street. And as this site is now nearly completely occupied, the applicant needed to provide the additional parking only for the residents and visitors of this development.
So just for this side of the development, or is this open for the
That-
entire development?
That would be a question for the applicant.
Because I'm kind of confused. I'm familiar for back in the day when this was more active. And
Right.
I was thinking there was already an existing parking lot in this area where you're highlighting. So did they just expand the existing one, or is this a brand new one?
That's a great point. I'll zoom in. You can see to the north, there was a little parking lot.
Yes.
So they've added on to the south of it. You are correct.
So
And then-
we've had two parking areas, the existing one and this new one.
Yes.
So what's going to be the total number of parking spaces with those two lots for, to me, what appears to just be the south side of the development?
I know that they're adding 11 additional stalls. I don't know the overall count for the entire development because it's a lawfully established use. So staff is not. We were mainly concerned with the fence and street trees, not the overall count since it's been existing. But the applicant, I'm sure, can answer that question.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Andrew.
You're welcome.
All right, so at this time, let's go ahead and open it up for the applicant. Is the applicant available for this project?
There's someone named Dennis online who's
That's correct.
raised their hand, so I'll promote him.
Good morning. My name is Dennis D. Benedetto. On behalf of the applicant, I work for Time Equities. I'm Director of Commercial Construction. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present this project. Just to follow up on that question about the parking. There's existing parking off 46th Street and existing parking lot off Emmanuel Cleaver. And there is only one area of opportunity to add some additional parking. And this is where we found that opportunity. So this is what we added, is 11, I believe it was 11 total parking spots to service this side of the property. We would have loved to add more if we could, but we just couldn't find any more opportunities.
So is street parking still an option
Yes.
there on that
Yes.
street? Okay.
Yes, there is, absolutely. 46th Street is all available for parking and is parked.
They've marked it. Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Can you restate your last name and your address, please?
Sure. Dennis D. Benedetto. Happy to spell it DEBENEDETTO. I'm at 55 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York. Company Time Equities.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, quickly. Do you know what the current occupancy is?
I don't know that question, but our asset manager should be on the call and she should be able to answer that because I'm on the construction side.
Amanda, I'm assuming.
Right,
that's
Nick. Yes. Yes, sir.
Is she joining us?
Yes.
Okay.
She's on. She's just muted. right
Okay.
now.
Happy New Year. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. To answer the original question that I heard, we have an existing 299 spaces prior to the expansion, not including the parking spaces along 46th Street. Just to answer that question, our current occupancy is 85%. We expect that to be 90% within the next month due to all of our inquiries. So occupancy has increased greatly, and this parking will help us support our tenants And there you go. How else can I help?
You have a mix of affordable housing rents?
We do not. These are market rents. We do have some tenants that do receive support. And we continue to renew them as approved by the city.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, it's a little bit outside the scope, but maybe I haven't been tracking. There's been some remodeling on that space because I've seen it be a lot of vacancy and just blighted in a lot of different parts.
That is correct. When we purchased this property, we have since updated and renovated almost 300 units out of the 380 that we have.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No, I'm happy to hear that they've done some renovations. So thanks for that question, Commissioner Hill.
Yeah, we've also updated it by including a new fitness center. And we're doing our best to continue to improve the property as we go along.
Okay. Thank you. If there's no more questions from the commission to the applicant, let's open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 3, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon. Do that as my fellow commissioner cleans up. Darn kids.
I'm trying to tell you, can't hold a cup.
Is there anybody online that's raised their hand?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay, and I don't see anybody racing up front here that's in attendance, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony then. Anything else you'd like to add, applicants? Dennis or Amanda?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close testimony then, and I'll take a motion if there's no discussion.
I think I have a quick question for staff. Is there a timeline in which these landscaping improvements need to be done?
Because the city does not really permit a parking area, that's tricky. I have conditioned that the applicant cannot pull any future building permits until we receive a landscape affidavit that the work has been completed. That's
Okay.
the only mechanism of control.
Okay,
So that's permits to do any improvements to any of the units or anything?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other mechanism.
so that's showing that they have the plan, not that they've actually installed everything.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought I understood. Okay,
All right,
I move to approve docket item 3 with conditions, removing condition number 5.
second.
I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 3 with the removal of condition 5. Lisa, can you take roll call on that motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Corral,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
and Rojas.
Aye. Okay, looks like motion passes 7-0. Thanks for bringing it in, and we look forward to seeing this project completed.
Thank you so much for your time today. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New
Happy
Year
New
to
Year.
you. Okay, with that, it's pushing 11 o'clock, and I have a feeling we will finish before 1 o'clock today, because we have 2 cases left. How's everybody doing? Do we need a few minutes for restroom break or anything right now? You good to go?
Yeah.
Mr. Rojas?
Good to go.
Okay, all right, let's keep motoring ahead then with docket item number 4 then.
All right, docket item 4 is case number SUP 2022-00049. This is a request to approve a printing business in District B4-5 on about 0.15 acres at the northwest corner of Wabash and East Truman Road. And Justin Smith is the planner on this project.
Good morning. Let me get my screens shared. All right, so this is going to be docket item number 4, case number CD SUP 2022-49. Project name is going to be Dragon Print and Sign, located at 2420 East Truman Road. As you can see, in relation to the whole city, it's going to be 1 block away from Prospect and Truman. For a closer look, it's right on the corner of Truman and Wabash Ave. This is the proposed property that the site will be. They will be using both of these buildings right here. This green one and this one off the street. So this is a request to approve a special use permit for a latex printing business in District B4. The city classifies the latex printing business as an industrial manufacturing limited use. And that in a B4 district requires an SUP, a special use permit, on a 0.15 acre lot. So the 2 main uses for the printing business will be car wrapping and signs. That isn't the extent of the business. That is just the 2 main uses. No exterior changes to the building are proposed. Just a couple highlights of the special use permit criteria. There's no exterior changes to the site, so no character of the surrounding areas will be affected. This should run normal business hours with the exception of some weekends. The printer is said to be very quiet, so once again, it's not going to be affecting noise, lighting, or traffic of the area. Here's a site plan of where the printer will be located in that main green building. And with that, staff recommends approval with conditions of the special use permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission to city staff regarding docket item number 4?
I'm curious, I do, is this an existing business that's relocating, or is this a new business? Because there are other car things on Truman going west.
Yes, this is an existing business and they're just relocating. They were recently in an M1 district. They found this new building. It's in a B4, so it requires a special use permit. So what were the condition? It doesn't, not at least not in the staff report I have. Is it just the time frame?
Yes.
What was the time frame?
2 years.
Is there a reason for that number of years?
No.
Seems kind of short.
It's very short. I mean, I'm even confused why we actually got it here, because we're just putting a latex printer into a building. But
I mean, I guess we can hear from the applicant, but I'd like to extend it for a good number of years. But that's just me.
Yeah, we can change that to make it longer. Okay, any other questions from commission to the staff? Okay, let's welcome the applicant. Is the applicant available? Morning. Morning. Come on up and sit down if you like, or stand, whichever you're more comfortable with. Anything you'd like to add to the staff report?
Oh, just that this is basically like a printer you would have on your desk. It's just 60 inches wide. That's the difference.
60 or 16?
60 row.
And then how, once you print something out, how does it get applied to vehicles or anything? Do they come to your store? Do you have a garage?
Yeah, we've got a garage there that we just peel the back off and stick it on cars.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
well, the printer lasts longer than 2 years.
Good Lord willing.
So have you got a preference on, is 2 years long enough for you, or would you like it longer?
I mean, we're we're hoping to be in business for a long time. So I mean, the longer the better to me.
Make it 5.
So how long have you been in business?
Approximately a year.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm open
I
to-
guess
I'm
the
open.
question is like, for a special use permit to staff, like, is it because at some point in time, these printers had some environmental hazards or were loud or?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. There's 2 different groups in our department that make zoning. That's the vision. So I wasn't involved in making the details that shared with the cost of it. Determine it was. Timeframe stuff is something that we've been talking about more internally at the staff level because the commission has been expressing a desire to have timeframes. I don't think that there's any turn on our part that it 2 years, 5 years or not.
Okay.
I don't have any concern with it out of time, with not having a time limit.
Okay.
I'm open to 6. It breaks down and we'll get a new, assume they're going to get a new one. So I'm fine with 6.
Yeah, I'm fine not having one. I think it's as Commissioner Baker presumes, I imagine this is an antiquated rule that unfortunately the applicant has to go through. So that just sucks. And so I'd just say, let's make it, let's not put a limit on it.
I'd be okay with that as well.
I'd be okay with that too.
So just to clarify, because we've done this in the past, if a new business comes in, they have to reapply for their own SUP, right?
If
It doesn't stay with the building, it has to come in with the new use.
So what traditionally occurs is, let's say that this gentleman, his business grows and he grows out of the space, and then 6 months later, a new tenant comes in, they would get their business license. And in the course of getting the business license, a zoning determination is made to verify whether that business is an allowed use. If it's the same type of business, it would be classified the same type of use and they would be allowed to continue operating without another special use permit. It doesn't matter what the business, who owns the business or operates it, it's the use. And if the use is the same, they're allowed to continue.
I think I'm comfortable with that. Many times different vendors don't realize that the things don't stick with the building. It goes with the business that was there. And my biggest example would be with liquor. Liquor doesn't necessarily stay with the business. Stay with the building. So I'm comfortable with no time restraints on the SUP, the use permit.
Okay. Anything else, commission, for the applicant? Okay, so at this time, let's open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 4, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon.
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the chamber and no one has raised their hand on Zoom.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public testimony then. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve docket item 4 with conditions modifying the term to be indefinite.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 4, changing the term, the years from 2 years 2 years to indefinite on this side. So Lisa, can you take roll call on the motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
Aye.
Corral,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Abstain.
and Rojas.
Aye.
Okay, so it looks like the motion passes 6-0, and appreciate you coming in and good luck.
To see if we get 3 different.
All right, with that, let's move on then to docket item number 5, please.
Docket item number 5 is case number CDCPC 2022-0027 for Amethyst Place on 28th and Tracy, and it's a request to approve a residential development plan in District R-1.5 on about 1.2 acres, generally located at East 28th Street and Tracy Avenue, and Andrew Clark is the planner.
Good morning again. I will share my screen. Okay, before you is docket number 5, CPC 2022-207. The project name is Amethyst Place. It's a residential development plan and preliminary plat at the intersection of East 28th Street and Tracy Avenue, located in Midtown. You can see here the site outlined in yellow, just south of 27th, and just a block east of Troost Avenue, between Troost and the Paseo. The site is unimproved, vacant site. Here's a view looking northwest from East 28th and Tracy Avenue. And then looking southwest from Tracy Avenue. Again, you can see the site is undeveloped. Some history about this project. There was a case that you heard in November. But again, this is another project that through the Housing Trust Fund, Ordinance 220462, the City Council did approve up to $500,000 to Amethyst Place for this project on top of other funding sources. The applicant held the required public engagement meeting with the Beacon Hill Community Council on December 15th. Here is the site plan. On the northeastern corner of the site will be a proposed apartment building with a total of 25 units. There will also be offices on the ground floor. And then on the southern portion of the site will be 2 different buildings that will look like townhomes. And that will be a total of 12 units on the southern perimeter. The site will be secured with a fence, and this is for a total of 37 units and a total of 28 parking stalls. The applicant will need to obtain a deviation from the City Council. The site is a little irregular in nature, and in order to keep the impervious area down and provide green space for the residents, our code requires an 8-foot buffer for a parking lot in a residential district. To meet what fire standards are, the applicant is proposing only a 6-foot buffer between the parking lot highlighted in yellow and the property to the west. So that's the 2-foot deviation they are seeking for fire safety. Also, here's the overall site plan. As you saw, there was really only 1 tree on this site. And the applicant is going above what is required on the landscape code with underground detention due to the tight space that they're working with on this site. And they will be having to construct a new public water main extension along East 28th Street to serve the units. And then they also provided us examples of what the fence will look like. It will be more transparent on the perimeter of the site, but internally where that parking area is we wanted to make sure there's a buffer of landscaping and a solid fence just to keep headlights out and to reduce noise. Here are the elevations. This would be for the apartment building on the northeast corner of the site. As you can see, high levels of transparency. Major focus was the scale of the windows to match what is existing in the surrounding area. And the scale of the building matches other buildings that have been there for a very long time. So the scale does complement the surrounding area. In passive surveillance with the large windows, brick structure, metal finishing. Commissioner Sadowski is not here, but here is the material legend. Again, brick. The applicant was able to provide more windows on the edges of the townhomes, again, to provide more passive surveillance and a more welcoming facade. Staff's recommendation is approval with conditions, and staff supports the applicant's request of that 2-foot deviation to the required side yard setback in a residential district. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission to city staff?
And the lot on the other side of that fence is vacant.
Oh. One of the lots is vacant.
Okay.
And then there's all homes there.
Okay. And so it's
so this lot on the south is vacant. And then that's why we asked for the solid fence for the other lots.
Gotcha.
The figure ground's just not shown.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Commissioner Beasley, anything?
No, I'm just hung up on the name. Seems like there's another Amnesty somewhere.
It is the organization, and they are here to also provide more information when it's their turn.
Okay, thank you.
You nailed it.
Okay, so with that, let's welcome the applicant then. Good morning.
Good morning. Brad Sonner with Olson. We're the civil consultant on this project, 7301 West 133rd Street, Overland Park, Kansas. Also with me is Starla Brennan, Executive Director of Amethyst Place. Also in the audience, excuse me, we have members of the design team, additional members with staff members with Amethyst Place, and owners representatives here to help answer questions should they arise. It's been great working with staff through this process. We're in agreement with the conditions of approval, and really we're here to ask for your support and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Short and sweet. Yeah, didn't even take up your 20 minutes. Okay, any questions from the commission to the applicant?
Just want to confirm, is this all affordable housing?
Commissioner Beasley?
I thought I heard Bruce with a question.
Yeah, I just asked whether this was all affordable housing.
And the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Okay. So help me clear my mind. Why is it I recognize this name? You have other locations?
Hi, I'm Starla Brennan. I'm the Executive Director at Amethyst Place, and we have been right there on Truce since 2008, have 37 units right there. And it's all for moms and their children. So 37 moms, about 80 kids. And we do residential services and supportive services for moms in recovery, and then help with reunification with their children, and all sorts of wraparound services.
So the brick buildings and the 2700 block of Truce is yours as well? Is that what I thought I heard you saying?
Correct. At 28th and Tracy, north of 28th and Tracy, And then also the apartment building on the west side of Troost.
And you're gonna maintain both locations?
Correct.
So you're gonna distinguish it like Amnesty 1 or Amnesty 2 or?
This would be for our basically graduate housing from our level 1. Families will continue to come into our Troost location. And after about a year and after certain accomplishments, then they graduate that level 1. And so now they will be able to move over to the apartments on Tracy. So they will all have been in our program for at least a year.
Okay, thank you so
Thought
much.
about a name for it, I guess.
Any other questions, Commissioner Beasley?
No, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I guess I could go to my standard question on phasing and construction timeline and that kind of thing.
As soon as we have approval through City Planning Commission and Council, we'll be submitting permit documents. I believe our hope is to be starting in May or June. And I would assume we're probably a 12 to 18 month timeline on construction.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. If there are no more questions, let's go ahead and open it up for public testimony. If there's anybody out there that would like to speak regarding docket item number 5, please come forward or raise your hand using the Zoom feature and you'll be called upon. We're going to start here with those that are in the council chambers first. If you don't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Yes, good morning. My name is Adrienne Vallejo Foster. I reside at 3609 West 50th Terrace in Roland Park, Kansas. Today, I stand before you as a representative of St. Vincent's de Paul Academy, which is located at 2727 Tracy Avenue, which is in spitting distance of this proposed development. We have been there for 4 very short years. We have children from K through 12. It's mostly a girls' academy. We have been in this neighborhood. Our church resides at 3106 Flora, where we have a boys' academy. We expanded 4 years ago. I have been not only a parishioner, but my children have gone to the school. My husband and I got married at the church 30 years ago, so I feel like I am a resident of our community there. And that's just a little background. As you'll hear from Amy and other neighbors today, who like the academy are stakeholders who've been left out of the decision-making. And I'll go so far and say that mailing notices of hearings less than 7 days notice, especially for this hearing, the principal of our school received it on New Year's Eve. I got a call about this on New Year's Eve, that they received a notice in the mail. For the December 15th public meeting notice, we received notice about 1 week prior. I find it interesting, as I've heard and sat here this morning, that in a previous development that we find it very disingenuous that developers who develop in our urban core area would like to try and do notices during Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and the day after New Year's. That's really disheartening. Proper notice, I should also state, is part of due diligence process, which I personally know is very important to the city of Kansas City, Missouri. For I used to sit on the Fairness and Construction Board for many years under 2 mayors here. Do I get 5 minutes since I'm an organization?
Yes, you get 5.
Thank you. I represented and advocated for women in construction. And although the board has changed the way we set goals for the city of Kansas City, Missouri, I'm still very engaged with what used to be called HRD, which now is CREO. Unfortunately, this developer and organization has failed in its due diligence in providing proper notice, as I stated before. When it did, the organization when it did have its December 15th meeting, which I attended, It filled the room with all of its employees and its potential residents to pull on our heartstrings, I believe. I do want to compliment the city of Kansas City, Missouri today in regards to the information that I found on your website. I was able to pull up the list of who was mailed the notice, as well as the application. And I found it very interesting that there was the city, a document called Public Meeting Summary Form that said support was voiced by the incoming president of Beacon Hill Association for this development, and that those individuals were not, did not talk to the neighbors. They never talked to us about it. So if that's their personal opinion, they shouldn't be saying that they support it. Also on the website, again, great job. So this is 1.2 acres. This is a notice of I would call it a political campaign sign. I don't know, is that a 4x4, a 3x3 in the middle of a yard of, giving public notice? Very inadequate as well. There are 34 on the list that were notified. Delivery of notice in a more effective way to 34 individuals or stakeholders could have been done much more. And let me also say, this is transitional housing. These are not permanent residents. They are there to reach their goals and to graduate from their program and move on. This is not single family housing. It's required to have public engagement according to the City Plan Commission staff report. I give this organization developer an F in that. Zoning and reviewing the city zoning in this area, it's outdated and improper. It's listed as R.1.5, which is not in context with the neighborhood. And if it is in context with the neighborhood, this again is transitional housing. It's not single family residents. The residents of this neighborhood deserves better. They should not be penalized before because the zoning hasn't been updated. Preserving I will just say one more last thing. As a former mayor in my city, on the other side of the county line, you guys have a comprehensive plan. It's called the Greater Downtown Area Plan. On page 25, goal number 4, under the heading of Achieving the Vision, it states retain and promote safe, authentic neighborhoods. It goes further to describe what that is. This does not match your comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Robertson, 2830 Tracy. I'm here representing Beacon Hill and 2 lists of neighbors that will be immensely affected by this development on 28th and Tracy. 28th and Tracy is a residential street. It's not Troost. Amethyst already have buildings on Troost. It does not fill in nor completes the authentic, as you said in your Achieving the Mission plan. It does not fall in line with the authentic character of the neighborhood. These are multi-story houses that will be surrounded by this complex. It does not fit into that design plan at all. These are multi-units. These people that have signed this sheet in the 28th block of Tracy adamantly, profusely oppose this. We are opposing this. Why? Because we already have 5 of these transitional homes with felons and drug addicts and people who are recovering from some sort of dependency. We have overextended our favor and flexibility for this type of stuff. We are surrounded by this. We are impacted by this every day. It's not good. It doesn't add value to the neighborhood. These people don't add value to anything. They are leeching. They are leechers. We're adamantly opposing this. Why? Because we have enough. We have enough of this in our neighborhood. We want to continue the aesthetics, as you stated in your mission plan, to complete the authentic appearance and aesthetics of the neighborhood. And that is single-family dwelling that fits into that line of housing that we have. We're surrounded by all of these. There's another expansion going on right across the street for alcoholics. They're expanding theirs to another 3-4 stores. They want to expand theirs off Truce to Tracy, which is a neighborhood street. A neighborhood street. We're going to be impacted by the construction, to say the least, to get started, not to mention the aftermath of the residents that are living there. We already have all of them walking. We have undesirables coming in and out because of all of these transitional homes. They're coming in and out the neighborhood. We have enough. We have enough. We believe, we sincerely believe we've extended our flexibility in favor. So we're adamantly opposed. If you'd like to see the sheet of the residents that live in this 2800 block across the street, down the street, we're adamantly opposing this. And we're the ones who have the valid voice in this, because we're the ones who live in here. They live in Overland Park, or whoever else is, that has agreed to this. We're the ones who living right next to it. We ask for your cooperation in this, please. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson, can you remind me, you're a part of which neighborhood district?
Beacon Hill.
Beacon Hill, you're the current president, is that right? Well, I heard, or a member of? You're not on the?
No, I'm not the president.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No, I'm just a resident, and I'm representing the people who could not attend because they were not giving notice. When I knocked, I went door to door. Our Beacon Hill representative, they don't do anything. I went door to door. These people had no clue of this meeting, none, including myself. No clue at all. And then they're going to sneak it in during the holidays. Please hear us on this. Please hear us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rusty Hill. I live at 2805 Tracy. I'm not even 500 feet from where they're going to build. We have 5 facilities in our neighborhood. I'm only 2 blocks. They all 2 blocks within me. One is at 30th and Tracy. One is at 29th. 2 are at 29th and Tracy. Then we have the one Beacon Hill. The one Amethyst House is on 27th and Truce. Mind you, I'm on 28th and Tracy. 2 blocks from all of this. People have been sitting on my front porch from these facilities, halfway houses and stuff, been ran off of my front porch. People have broken into cars in our neighborhood. No, we didn't call the police. We handled it ourselves. Amethyst House is up on 27th and Truce. They find where they are. We do not need another facility. We prefer homes in our area. 30th and Tracy, they building 4 family homes right there right now. We would prefer family homes in our area, not another facility. And then we have the facility that's coming up that's already built on 27th and West Paseo. Okay, we surrounded. We need no more. Amethyst House could find somewhere else. If you want these type of homes for these young ladies, build them somewhere else. Okay, because they already dominate Truce. That's all I have to say, and we all oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Joe?
There's no one on Zoom with a raised hand.
At this time, we'll go ahead and close public testimony then. And quite a few concerns brought up by the community. Do you mind addressing those for us, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, let me clarify that we are not transitional housing. We're permanent housing. So the families can stay at Amethyst Place for as long as they need to. Our average stay is 2 years, but we also have people there 4 and 5 years. We focus on helping moms increase the earning potential in their home. And so they come to us. most don't have their GED. We start with that. They don't become a graduate until they have their GED. It's one of the requirements. So everyone moving over onto the Tracy campus, they will be considered graduates of our level 1. We focus on, college education, certification in some trade. We have moms who are opening their own businesses and are very successful. We have moms getting Casey scholarships and Casey degrees, and they're going after their college educations. We have 3 program graduates on staff who 2 have their master's in social work and 1 is getting her undergrad in social work. So we very much focus on these moms becoming successful. They want to help their children not be raised in the same conditions that they were raised. So we are just going back to that we are not a transitional living program. Also, in September of 21, we did get a letter of support from the Beacon Hills McFetters Neighborhood Association. So they have already given us written consent and support. Regarding the notices, I can't speak for the Postal Service, but we did mail out all of the notices per the requirements and made sure that we met all of that. Regarding the people in attendance, we very much believe in our moms helping us to sign this program. And so we have a residence council, and it's made up of moms on campus, but also alumni. They stay involved with us. They come back and mentor, and it's a leadership opportunity. And so that night was our regularly scheduled resident council meeting. And instead we had just those people attend the meeting at La Quinta. So there were, I don't know, maybe eight or 9 moms from that council in attendance, and then 3 staff. Other thing I wanted to point out, as far as, trying to sneak this into a holiday, I mean, this was just the timing. It was not intentional in any regard. And so I don't understand that, because really we just backed into a date based on when it could be heard before council. As far as saying that our moms don't add anything, these are beautiful moms, beautiful children. We have about 80 children on campus, 60% of them, so about 50 of them are 5 or under. So these are young, beautiful families. We just had one approved for getting her doctorate in psychiatry. I mean, they want to succeed. They want to contribute to society. They want to get off public benefits. We just had one mom awarded through Habitat for Humanity for her own home. They're a good partner of ours. We want that for any of our families that want that. Not everybody wants to be a homeowner, but for our moms who want that, absolutely, we want that for them. She's actually doesn't want to live too far away from us because of all the support that we continue to give people after they move out. But you have to grow into that. It's not, aren't always able and ready to own a home. And so that is part of our desire, is that we help the moms grow into home ownership. We received over 30 letters of support from organizations in the community. Councilwoman Melissa Robinson, Children's Mercy, Operation Breakthrough, Jean Peters Baker, Urban Neighborhood Initiative, University Health, Jackson County Family Treatment Court. I mean, we absolutely contribute to this community by strengthening these families, by bringing them back together. by getting their kids out of foster care. About 80% of them have had their children taken away. And the life outcomes for a child in foster care is they really struggle their entire life. We're one of the few programs that can actually put an end to generational poverty, which is so difficult to deal with. So I think we bring amazing things to the community that we're in. And we bring safety. You know, our moms are in recovery, and therefore we have a sober campus. So we're not like any other apartment building. We have a sober campus. The moms want this to be a sober campus. They don't want their children taken away from them. We do random UAs and BAs all the time. We know exactly the kind of community we have. And, you know, if someone is sitting on someone's porch, it is not one of our Amethyst moms. I guarantee you. I guarantee you that. They want a safe community to raise their children in. We have, being off a busy street, we have so much theft, cars being broken into. It is ridiculous. And after tracking that for a period of time, a year ago, we were able to get $100,000 from the city to upgrade our security system. So now we have better cameras. We can give police better information. Just a couple months ago, I mean, you still have the snatch and grab. It's really hard to deal with. Catalytic converters, so many of them taken from our cars, even during the daylight. 2 months ago, we finally got a donor to give us enough money to put in full height gates on our parking lots. So they are locked at night, and that has made a big difference. But the community is not at risk from our parents, from our moms and our kids. I mean, it's more a matter of us protecting our moms and our kids from people walking by, driving by. I'm happy to answer any other questions, but it is a beautiful, beautiful community that adds to Kansas, the greater Kansas City, by reducing homelessness. All of these moms, in order to even be eligible, you have to be homeless or imminently at risk of losing your housing. So we reduce homelessness, we reduce crime, we help with the child learning outcomes, with their life outcomes. We help moms get off public benefits and be a contributing member to society. That's what Amethyst brings.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, we've closed testimony, public testimony. So I think at this time, we're going to close all testimony and speak amongst the commission. Especially interested in hearing those that are in this district.
Yeah, I'm still processing a lot of this. I mean, for starters, I like to say that Amethyst Place is just an overall beautiful concept. There's a need. Many of us have been fortunate enough that either we made all the right choices or the bad choices that we made didn't cost us our life or cost us our livelihood, right? And so we desperately understand the need around moms and kids having opportunities to be in a community where they can thrive, where they can get the support. As a person who works in education, I understand that mobility, housing insecurity impacts greatly academic performance of kids, right? Now, if we talk about generational poverty, but also just kids breaking that cycle, having a quality school, having a livable, thriving, stable community is important. So I'm not at all against the purpose, the concept, the need. What I'm really juggling with, and I need help from you, is listening to the neighborhoods talk about saturation. That's something that I'm big on, even in terms of gas stations that often appear, or liquor stores or plasma centers. And so I think that when a community is trying to be diverse, it wants to have a diverse socioeconomic base. When I'm hearing that there are already 5 or 6 transitional homes, that just caused me to peak up to say, we have a need. I understand that there's a place, this adds value to the community. It takes a vacant lot and makes it beautiful. But I just am thinking about a neighborhood who is saying, hey, we understand that people need places in the second home, and we have that. We have 5 or 6 of those, places here, adding more. I'm processing that. So if you could speak to how many places do you already have in this community, in this neighborhood?
I don't know who those other places are.
Okay, they're
I
not
know
your
Journey to
places.
New Life is down Tracy. I don't even know which other ones that they're talking about. We just border truced. That's all we have right now. And the beauty of Tracy is that it is literally right there. So we can keep all of our staff there. The moms build a community, and so they mentor each other, and having a successful mom that close in proximity is a tremendous benefit to our program. And so when we found out that that was available, that's why we chose that. We have a year-long wait list. And so, we have 37 units, but we have more than that on our wait list, and it takes a year to get in. And like I said, most of those kids are separated from mom. The courts won't reunite them until they get housing. So, you're causing these families to stay separated longer than they need to. And we felt like we had to expand, honestly. There aren't that many nonprofits that fully own affordable housing. And so we are getting into that because of the need. And like I said, this is permanent housing. It is not transitional housing. It is not a 6-month program or a 9-month program or a year program. We want this extra housing because really we want families to stay there more like 4 and 5 years so that they can, really get their certification, get their college education, and get stable before they move out. So in order to make that happen, we have to have more units, but it is permanent housing. They are on choice vouchers. So, and we've already been conditionally awarded by the Housing Authority. So we have 37 choice vouchers available for these moms. When they leave, they can take that with them.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners, comments?
I had one more thing. I'm sorry. We are on the far west side of Beacon Hill. So we are not inside the heart of the neighborhood.
You're actually in the Longfellow neighborhood on the west side of Truce.
Longfellow's on the west, yes.
Mm-hmm. Kobe, my concern is I thought staff had said that they had acquired $500,000 from the Housing Trust. Did I remember that correctly, commissioners?
Yeah, you heard that right.
So if that's the case, for them to get that award, did they have to notify the neighborhood of their plans to get that funding? Because again, I'm also concerned with the neighborhood not knowing that this development was coming.
That's not, we don't know the answer to that. None of that is routed through our department.
Okay, just was trying to find out if you knew. Because I'm thinking initially, I was thinking of the CEED funding, but that's not in the boundaries for that funding source. I'm concerned with the saturation as well. And I guess to be nosy, does Amnestus already own this property?
Yes, we do.
Do you own property somewhere else?
No.
And then I thought that in your testimony, you had said something in 2021 that you presented. Remind me again what that was you were referring to. And the question I'm going to have for that is, at that time, was the neighborhood included in that process?
Yes, I presented to the neighborhood association meeting. And as a result of that, they gave us a letter of support.
So can I confirm which neighborhood association meeting that was?
Beacon Hills McFetters with Dee Evans as president.
Okay, because many times they go and refer to the Beacon Hill Homeowners Association that's north of 27th. So that's why I was confirming what you were saying. I'm torn on this one, very much so.
Ma'am, I've already closed public, I'm sorry.
I really am torn on this one. Because when Bruce asked about affordable housing, they said yes. And I wasn't really thinking affordable meant you had vouchers. I was thinking affordable was anyone that was seeking to obtain housing based on income, they could get it. We're looking at price points that are being offered as affordable, not depending on some type of programmatic support for it to be affordable. So I think at this time I'm sitting at a no. I'm not gonna quit toying. I'm at a no right now.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
Sure, I'll chime in. I agree with the sentiments of both commissioners that, you know, it is easy to understand the concerns of the neighbors that spoke. Looking at the zoning and, well, so I'll start with the notice process. I think the notice process is just a tough process, and mail can take a long time. And I don't think there's any malintent about when notice goes out or when it's received. And if someone's skipped over, I think for the most part, it's just a process that sometimes works really well and sometimes it works okay. So I don't think that should be counted against this applicant. I think the applicant is well intended and has a good project and a good organization. Looking at the scale of the design, you know, it is consistent with apartments across the street diagonal from it in terms of height and scope and scale. In terms of its proximity to Troost and being on 28th Street, I don't feel as though if this were an apartment project that didn't have prerequisites as to who can live there, that we would be discussing this, and that's understandable, you know, and so I think it's a really tough case. I really like the proximity to Amethyst Place. I really like the track record that Amethyst Place has. I think it's really encouraging that they've had really good success and are looking to build upon that success. And if I think about how we try to rebuild our communities, I think that it's going to be a lot of different things, a lot of different perspectives. And one of them is leaning into the organizations that are doing really well and the organizations that are trying their best and that are proving to be successful and that are thinking strategically about new innovative ways to carry that growth forward. And so I think this is a new innovative way of saying, we know that these problems are require deep work and long work. And so I think that seeing that they want to take this even further and say, we want to build upon the success and reaffirm it and make sure that it's, you know, lasting is exciting to me. Again, I totally understand the neighborhood frustration about saturation. And that's something that I would feel better personally about approving this project and seeing it go to city council, where you all can talk to your council members and they can kind of dive into these deeper issues, because I don't feel that it's appropriate for me to turn this project down. So I'll be supportive of it.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder that we're a recommending body and that we're a recommending body on this one, correct? Okay, just making sure. And that it will go to city council. I think the fact that it's in compliance with the zoning makes it a more attractive development, and that the development plan is more of a check on how it's designed and laid out. I think it is a tough project because there are different programs around this area, but I am more receptive to this because it is as they've stated, is in a transitional housing. It's stay for a year, 2 years, 3 years, which arguably could be longer than some market rate rental housing elsewhere. And so I'll be supportive of the project as well.
Any other thoughts? Go Keith, you or we'll go over here. You guys have any thoughts?
Well, I certainly think this type of program is needed for this community or all communities across the United States or worldwide. So I think what you're doing is wonderful work. I don't think there's ever a good place. Everybody's always going to have some pushback. I would love to have seen probably maybe some more community outreach because of the nature of the program and the house going in. I would hope that Amnesty would maybe do another reach out to the neighborhoods to describe the program again and to give some assurances with regards to some of the neighborhood concerns. But I'm having a tough time to not be supportive of this project. I think it's needed for single mums and so forth. So the work you're doing, as I said, I don't think there's ever a good place. Wherever you probably find a block, you're going to have some community pushback would be probably the right word for it. But so I'll be supportive of the project going forward.
Your vote. Okay, I agree with all commissioners here that this is a tough project. Our body is looking at things from a land use standpoint, and that's the way I'm looking at this because my heartstrings are being pulled as well about the saturation. But I do think this is a great program. And it sure seems to me that being a female with kids, it's a much needed program, and any crime or anything related to that is fairly minimal, if any. Because I know they want an opportunity to move ahead and get forward and go forward in life. So I'm going to vote based on the land use. I think it fits the area, it fits the zoning that's there. So it's got my support from that standpoint.
I just had a few comments before we vote. I think all the commissioners said it well. When we're a recommending body, we're looking at land use. I'll just always encourage developers to be good partners with the community that you're building in. We always talk about, we heard earlier today, the KC Spirit Playbook, and we talk about these thriving, livable, connected, vibrant communities. But the only time we always see oversaturation of what people might consider challenging is when they're in the lower socioeconomic bandwidth of neighborhoods. And we're seeing that here. I mean, if you go up further in Beacon Hill, you have homes that are $1 million homes, but instead we're on the fringes talking about where development lives. So I would just encourage you that if we think that this is a viable asset for any community, they are not limited to communities that are already struggling to thrive, already struggling to get homeowners, already struggling for development to happen. I think it's a great development. I think Amethyst, I hope you're hearing my comments, that it's not about the purpose or the mission of your work. Deeply believe in that. I will be supporting this, but I get a little frustrated when we are always doing good work on the backs of people who are saying they want better for their community. And I want to be sympathetic to that voice. So I would encourage you all to talk to your city council members about like the future land use and planning, and these city plans that come before us, set the code, set the conditions so that this body can evaluate that. But based on the zoning, the regulatory rules that we have, this is a great project and it meets those codes. So for that, I'll be voting in support of it.
I had a quick question. On the Housing Trust Fund application, did you have to have the zoning in place as part of the application?
I think they ask a question about it.
Okay.
I believe was how it was stated in that.
I just ask, and this is just a general point, because I know in low-income housing tax credits, that's part of the at least initial application and the final application. So that might be something that the council or staff looks into, not your department, but someone else to, you have these conversations before the funding gets awarded. So if there is an issue, I know that Vecino had an issue in Grandview with a project not getting approved. I think I will say I 100% agree with the saturation point. I do think it's been interesting though. We have seen more of these type of programs go around the city. I think we saw one up north recently on an old church site. And so I think there is a saturation problem, but I am encouraged by the fact that we are seeing it in some areas more so than I think I would have expected recently.
This is the first time that I've seen a project that comes before us. I still haven't teased it out around the Section 8 voucher or the voucher, because usually the voucher is tied to the individual. So I have questions, which is outside of our scope, which I won't ask you today, but what requires that family to stay there? Because a voucher can be used anywhere. My understanding, like they can take it with them. So it's the idea that you got this public dollars to build this infrastructure, but the rent is being paid through another public good from a voucher.
So these aren't project-based vouchers, right?
These are project-based vouchers,
So
but when they leave, they apply to the housing authority and they can get their own voucher.
Okay. So it's kind of like it's a project-based. So it stays with the project, but you're saying that they apply for, okay. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments from the commission? If not, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve docket item 5 with conditions. In a recommendation for the variance on the setback.
Seconds of the variance, yeah. I'm sorry, did you second that, Mr.
I did.
Okay, so I've got a motion and a second for approval of docket item number 5 and recommending the variance on the setback on the west side. So Lisa, can you take roll call on the motion, please?
Commissioner Allender,
Aye.
Baker,
Aye.
Beasley,
No.
Crowell,
Aye.
Enders,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Rojas.
Aye.
Okay, so it looks like the motion passes in 6-1. Again, we appreciate you bringing it in. And there's still opportunity for those of you that would like to speak to your council member about the project itself before it moves forward. So thank you very much. Good luck as you move forward. Okay, so that takes us through the end of our docketed items. Is there anything that should be brought up to the commission?
Could we highly recommend that applicants, if they're in town, come to City Hall? I'm just thinking like there's these multi-million, tens of millions of dollars, and we have to wait for them to unmute and talking about time frame, right? And then we had the one gentleman who a few meetings ago was doing $100 million apartment project on Main, and his internet cut out and we had to wait. And so that's just my thing. I don't know I know we're trying to be good to development, but it feels kind of unfair that the guy with the latex printer shows up and people that are making large amounts of sums of money just decide to zoom in when they're up the street. So that's just, I don't know if we can recommend them, but I feel like it would make our meeting go faster.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And that's what we do a lot, is tell people what we think the commission would desire. So we're happy to do that. If
Yeah,
that's
just tell him
consensus.
Commissioner Baker doesn't view zooming in fondly, and it might affect his opinion of people.
We'll just tell them they'll lose one vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you got hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes $100 million plus on the line, and you're gonna bank on your internet connection. So I don't know.
All right, so Green Solutions, Allender, attendance in person, Baker.
Yes. Okay, I just had one item I'd like to just bring up, and that's, and I know Commissioner Enders, you're serving on the Municipal Arts Commission. Everything going okay there? Is that something you want to continue doing?
Yeah,
Like to
I've
relinquish that?
enjoyed it quite a bit. It took over 2 years, but we did finally move most encroachment projects away from having to go through the Municipal Arts Commission. So it was an ordinance that council members Shields and Boo co-sponsored, and it should save, by my estimates, 50 to 70 applicants every single year of having to go through the Municipal Arts Commission and wait for that once a month process of showing people on an arts commission why their sidewalk needs to have a certain new slope or something to meet ADA requirements. So that's kind of the major, I would say, win that I think was planning related. Otherwise, it's primarily, I'd say that we are looking at a handful of, there are probably 10 projects talked about each month. Only a few of them would be new, and they're all publicly funded arts projects. You know this, but for everyone else. And so the airport was a really big project, but that of course has all been done. And so anytime there's a new big capital investment of the city, 1% gets put towards artwork, and this commission oversees that process. So overall, I've enjoyed it and would love to continue serving, but also would happily let someone else do it if they preferred.
I just want to make sure you're still doing okay with it and just kind of give a update, because I'm happy that you're doing that on my behalf, to be quite honest.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
And the same with Brownfields Commission. We do meet from time to time, and there's going to be an influx of money brought into the Brownsfield, due to the Inflation Reduction Act. There's more money available for that, so we'll see some more applications coming forward. They're interesting meetings. They don't have near the pace that this one does, so it takes a little bit to get through those sometimes. But there are some good projects that are coming forward through Brownfield Commission.
I'm looking forward to seeing what art selection Commissioner Enders has got for us at KC.
Well, I each person has a very, very, very minimal impact on the whole process. So if you don't like something,
Well, we'll judge, don't
yeah.
we?
Okay.
There's some amazing artwork though coming into the airport.
So for our next meeting, will be on the 17th, and we're going to have a presentation. Also, we're going to have a consent agenda. We'll go through some items there, which is the plats and final development plans and that kind of thing. And then we'll have a presentation from staff regarding the comprehensive plan. So make sure you kind of dig in there and read that, be up to speed. I know it's a lot to read, but it's worth it. Talented people to put it together. Show them your appreciation for it by taking a look at everything. And ready to listen and ask, I guess. Anything else from staff? Good?
I'm good.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, let's adjourn the meeting then. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Happy New Year.